Hey everyone, I'm Lauren and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi! This is Light and Lavender, a place where we talk about books and also my own writing journey. Today I am getting into my July wrap up. I read 5 books this month, which is better than the past few months but also worse than what I was hoping to do. If you saw my last video, I took part in the Reading Rush challenge and I'm pretty sure you can tell that I did not do very well. So let's get into what books I actually did read in the wonderful month of July. The first book or books I'm going to talk about are all combined because they're all part of a series and it makes more sense to me to just talk about them all in one go. And those books are the first 3 Percy Jackson books. So I bought these a few months ago, again in my book haul video that I put up. I got these recently. I still need the last 2, but I've managed to get these 3 done so far. I have really enjoyed the start to this series and I am really looking forward to being able to pick the next 2 books up. I think that I will be more than likely picking these up later on in August. I kind of want to do it now and I am really tempted to pick them up now, but I think I'm going to leave it until the end of August and get them both and try and read them and finish the series off. I'm not going to give too much detail on my thoughts on these because I do want to do a full sort of review video of the entire series at some point. I have filmed my review for the first 3 already. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, I gave this book 5 stars. I thought it was a really good way to bring about the world building and the character development. I really enjoyed this book. I did remember quite a lot of the plot from the film, so it means that the film at least didn't deviate too much from what was actually told in here. But I can't remember the film. I really liked the way that we were introduced to Camp Half-Blood and the 3 main protagonists and the way that this all rolled out. I also like the parallels of the Greek mythology being added into the modern time and how the monsters come back and that they're not gone forever, which is why the heroes are constantly having to repeat their own journeys. This was a really good start to the series. Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy this story and I really did enjoy the way that this rolled out and the development of the story. However, this book's quite short and it seemed like it was dragging. There's not as much depth in this. I feel like the plot would have suited a smaller book. There was a lot of fluff and filler in here and it did kind of, although I enjoyed it, it did drag a little bit, so I gave it 4 stars based on that. Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, mainly for Sally Jackson. I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but her behaviour in this book is just beautiful. I just really enjoyed her behaviour. I did enjoy the overall storyline. Like I said, I do enjoy the way that the Greek mythologies are interspliced into modern life and the way that these are done. I really enjoyed the fact that we got a Pegasus in here. I think being able to talk to horses is such a weird concept, but one that I am definitely down for. With the first 3 books in that series having done so well, I can't wait to get the next 2, but I have no idea. Hopefully August. Really hoping that it's before the end of this month anyway. The next book that I read in July was Kid by Simon Armitage. So this, as I'm sure you remember, was part of my Reading Rush challenge along with Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse. So I did read 2 of those. This is a poetry book. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I think that this needs more than 1 reading. I didn't really get the poetry in this one. The actual ideas behind the poems were really there for me. I don't know if it was because I was reading it in a wrong sort of headspace or if I just need to give this a couple more reads to sort of get my going with it. I do enjoy poetry, but I always know that there's like a deeper meaning to the poems, and reading them on a superficial level, it didn't seem to give the poems justice. I think that it definitely needs a deeper reading and a deeper understanding. I want to try and get into more poetry. I think that it's something that I would have to take a bit of time building up into to try and get my head around it a bit more. The final book that I read in July was Queenie. I'll put a picture here. As part of my book club, I have been part of this Facebook group called the Uncle Club, and recently they have set up a book club as part of that. There was a discussion on the 1st of August around the book, so we've got the whole month to read, so I read this one. I found this book a bit hit and miss. I really enjoyed the beginning and I really enjoyed the end, but the middle sort of dragged a little. It made me struggle to read it. Granted, it took me less than 24 hours to read. I read it in a day. I think overall maybe 3 to 4 hours of like actual sitting and reading time, maybe a bit longer. But I think that there was a lot going on and a lot of stuff didn't get explained. I don't want to delve too much into it because I know that a lot of people are still waiting to read this book. I just want to say that there is quite a few instances of sexual assault, potential rape within this book. It's not described as such because it's from Queenie's point of view, but that's the way that it has come across to me. There was one thing in this book that I really loved, and I actually made a note of it because honestly I don't know why it was included or what it means about the character, but she's describing how she met her partner Tom in this one scene, and she's sat in a park somewhere in London reading The Lost World by Michael Crichton. And Tom comes across and he's like, "Oh, is it any good? I didn't really like the film." And she says, "I love the film, it's actually my favourite." And like, so the Jurassic Park series is a huge thing in my house. I am the only one who ranks the films actually 1, 2, 3. My sisters dislike The Lost World and they find it weird that I enjoy it as much as I do. I don't think it's quite better than Jurassic Park, but it is definitely up there. I really don't like Jurassic Park 3. So I just loved that sort of little information, and the fact that she was reading the book The Lost World by Michael Crichton. What? Like, I don't really know anyone who's read them, so I've got, well, my mum's got Jurassic Park and The Lost World, and I've read them both, and I've got the Jurassic Park in French, and they are some of my favourite books. They're completely different to the film, and I actually did a review, although it was quite a few years ago, on this channel of the Jurassic Park book. So I did enjoy that sort of like little tangent that was added in there. It seemed like a weird thing to add, but that's the way that this book has gone. There's lots of like little bits of detail that then don't sort of expand any further. So we deal with her mum's relationship with her stepdad when she was younger and the difficulties and the conflicts there. It deals a lot with her own perception of herself in the world, so not what others perceive her as, but how she feels that others perceive her. And I do think it is an interesting take. As a white person who lives in Sheffield, I have found it difficult to sort of understand where she's coming from as a black woman from Jamaican descent living in London. There's not a lot that I've got in common with this character. I haven't had to face the same sort of hardships, so I feel like I had a bit of a sort of a not juxtaposition. I had a sort of a barrier between what I could and couldn't understand. So part of it I could resonate with, so relationships breaking down and the way that she went through and like signed up to dating apps, that bit I can completely understand it, but I don't get the way that she feels like people view her. I understand that a lot of people go through difficult perceptions of themselves, but hers all revolved around the fact that she was a black woman in a very white space in London, and it was an interesting way to see that described as someone who can't experience that. Before filming this video, I have actually looked through at some of the reviews of this book, and there are some criticisms of it saying that Cheska and Queenie are both, and I think the family life as well is very stereotypical, and it doesn't do the black community justice as to what people are actually like, and I can understand why they wouldn't approve of certain stereotypes being used, because it just perpetuates the stereotypes that people use in general in a negative way. So I found it interesting to read these criticisms of it, because there have been so many people shouting about this book and saying it's amazing and it's wonderful. I've not actually rated this one yet, so I'm not sure what my stars are. I feel like it's between a 3 and a 4. I don't think it was terrible, so it's not 1. I don't think it's low enough to be a 2, but I think between 3 and 4. I think it's more like a 3.5, so I'm not sure if to give it 3 or 4 stars on Goodreads. I think I'm edging more towards a 3, but I'm not sure if that's because I've now read these reviews, so my own thoughts have been slightly tainted by it. Because I think initially I would have gone more towards a 4 with this, just because I did like the way that the characters were developed and portrayed. There's one character who I think is, she's not really a stereotype, but I feel like she's a very two-dimensional character. There's not much depth to her. She seems to only be there to psychoanalyze and take things the wrong way. So I am still a little bit stuck on where I actually want to rate this book. If you've read this book, let me know what your thoughts are, and you might help me actually put a rating down on Goodreads for it, because I haven't got a clue what I actually want to give it. So that was my short and sweet wrap up for July. Only 5 books, and from my reading rush TBR, I will say that there was only 2 books that I read from that. So there was 4 that I wanted to try and get through, but I only managed to get through 2. The other 2 that I wanted to read, so I can't remember the title, but the Maureen Johnson one and The Hobbit are ones that I will be getting around to at some point this year. I'm currently trying to go through my bookshelves and read all the books that I've had that I have never read, and then make a decision on which books I would like to keep and potentially reread, and which ones I don't think I will ever touch again and unhaul, give to a charity shop, or donate to my library. I hope you've all had a good reading month in July, and hopefully August will be just as good for us all. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like, and also don't forget to hit subscribe. There's a new video out on this channel every single Sunday at 4 o'clock. I hope you're all doing well and you're all staying safe. Until next time, bye!